Hello friends, today I want to do a video talking about how much money it actually takes to start oil painting. I watch a lot of videos from the experts about the things that you need, but I don't see a lot of breakdown about how much these things cost, and also separating a want from a need. Some oil painters really want a lot of different mediums, but in truth, you don't need a lot of different mediums to get started. Now, I've been oil painting for a little over a month, and I am also an avid saver of receipts. So I thought that we would go through, we would separate into two categories, what I needed or need to paint, and what I've bought because I want it, and I'm gonna give you the exact pricing for each. How much money, approximately, obviously different depending on where you are, where you're buying your supplies, but how much money you need actually just to start, and how much money you may need if you want some of these things that I consider wants. For example, a need would be paint, something to paint on, a brush. A want would be the fancy little container that I keep my paint thinner in. Did I actually need it? No, I did not have it when I started. But I realized pretty quickly that it was going to be useful to me. So we're going to split that up. I'm going to do all the hard work for you, go through the receipts, calculate pricing, and hopefully this gives you a starting point and some information if you're interested in oil painting. Let's do it. Before we do it, please put in the comments what other kinds of videos you want to see. I'm really curious to know. I'm just making it up at this point. I'm just coming up with my own topics. Okay, now let's do it. Now we're gonna take out the wants and we're gonna leave behind the needs. So this is what I would consider your true needs to start oil painting. Let's break it down really quickly. You need a surface to paint on. This can be any kind of surface that can take oil paint. Do some research for this, but you need a surface of some kind. You need a palette of some kind. I have a lot of different kinds. I'm using a dollar store. This is literally 11 by 14 dollar store picture frame. That's my palette, $1, nice and easy. But you need something to put your paint on. Paint, obviously. That's not a need. Well, anyway, you need paint. We'll talk about this when I get into pricing. You need something to put paint thinner in that is not plastic. Obviously, this is an old olive jar, but you will need something like this that seals. Yeah. Paintbrushes. I think there's 2 fancy paintbrushes in here. The rest were a cheap set. We'll talk about that. Something to paint with that is specifically an oil brush. You don't want to be using the same brushes for your acrylic paint as you use for your oil paint. And then last but not least, your needs. You'll need some kind of paint thinner. I haven't actually used this brand yet. I used my Mona Lisa brand over there. And then this is, I believe, a need, but you could debate it. Some kind of medium. Most people start with a linseed oil. It's just the easiest, least toxic. You got, buy it in small container, whatever. This is the standard sort of beginner thing. Quick addition I thought of while editing this video, I want to point out that when I started, even after doing research, I only bought a linseed oil. I didn't even realize I needed a paint thinner. I thought the medium and the paint thinner were the same thing. They're not the same thing, so I just want to make that clear that you will need some kind of a medium and you will also need some kind of a paint thinner. So make sure that if you are starting, you pick up one of each of those things. Moving on to the wants. This is actually a need, but I have 2 different bottles of paint thinner, so we're gonna put that over there. I have recently purchased Liquin. This has been a major game changer for me. I've avoided it because it is toxic and confusing, but it is it speeds your drying time, and that has been really important for me for orders, so this is a want. Extra little jars for this is my linseed oil. I bought these extra jars, but you can use things laying around if you're saving old like jars that have lip scrubs or things in them. You just want to be using glass and not plastic for stuff like this. So this is a want in my book. This is very close to a need, but this was a want for me. It is a special jar for your paint thinner. It has sort of like, imagine a colander. It has a rack that like sits right here that helps you clean your brushes, and then all the sediment sinks to the bottom, so you're always cleaning your brushes in clean paint thinner. And while I did use this olive jar for the first couple paintings, all the sediment in it gets on my brushes, so this is technically a want, but very close to a need in my opinion. These are just dollar store tins that I'm keeping my liquid and oil in at this point. This ended up being a little small for me to dip my brushes in, so I got these again at the dollar store. Another dollar item just to store leftover paint. I really, really hate wasting my paint, so again, just a want. Some kind of a scraper for your palette. Another thing that could be called a need, you need some way to clean your palette. This was a dollar spot item at Michael's, I believe. It was gifted to me, and you can keep the razor turned in or out depending on how you use it, but this has been a really, really helpful tool and another very cheap tool. And then palette paper is something I've been using recently. When this palette paper is up, I think I'm gonna stop using it, but it definitely has been useful, and so this is a want and not a need. For palettes, you guys can really you can tape saran wrap to your table. I kid you not. Like, you do not need to invest a lot of money in this. I forgot about paper towels or rags. You have to add this to your need category. I forgot about varnish. This is your want category. Another addition I need to make while editing this video, I realize, is to tell you that while paper towels are very wasteful, if you are working with oil painting things, they are a better option than rags personally, because you throw them away and you can dispose of them. And please understand that a lot of the stuff that goes into the paint themselves, the paint thinner, and the mediums, especially if you're using liquid, are toxic. Do your research ahead of time. Ask me questions in the comments if you have them. But you do not want a rag covered in liquid sitting in your space necessarily, because it is releasing toxic fumes and things like that, and can also be dangerous if you have pets like me or other people living in your space, or just to yourself. So please do your research about how hazardous some of these materials can be, and be mindful about disposing of them properly. Here is the price for your needs. This is assuming that you already own a jar and that you already own paper towels or a rag of some kind. These are the things that you would need to purchase. So our Artist Loft paint, which I bought from Michael's in a set of 24 oil colors. This is the cheapest starter set you can buy. This cost me $10.99, so we're gonna round up to $11. I've decided to put our palette knife in a list of needs. You can get these for $4. My set of brushes, this is the set that I bought originally. Again, one of the cheapest set of oil brushes you can get. I got these at Michael's as well. These were $9. My palette, like I said, I got for $1 at the dollar store. My linseed oil I got from Michael's. You can also get on Amazon. It cost me $10. My paint thinner, which is much, much cheaper to buy in this big container like this, but if you're getting a small container, you can get your paint thinner for $11. A set of 2 small canvases, obviously most people own more canvases than this, but a set of 2 small cheap canvases, also from Michael's, is going to cost you $4.99, so $5. So that brings our grand total for needs to $51. I also will say that if you're shopping at Michael's and you live in the United States, I always go online. They always have a 25% off or 20% off coupon. A lot of this stuff I did not pay full price for. So you should definitely look into that. But those are your needs at $51, including a jar and some paper towels. Let's move on to the wants. Okay, so my wants include another medium that I bought. This specific jar of medium was $20. It is because they did not have it in a smaller size when I went, but you can get it for less than that. So $10 or $20, we're gonna count 20 for this. I have my palette paper, which cost me $6. I have extra tins and containers, which I get at the dollar store for $1. I bought myself some more paint when I started running out of colors that I knew I needed. These are like my primary colors. These ended up costing me $44, and this is where a lot of your investment goes for oil painting. My little jar here for paint thinner was $14 on Amazon. I have bought myself 2 semi-fancier brushes that didn't come in my original set, and these totaled me $10 between these 2 brushes. A scraper you can get for somewhere around $4. I actually recommend you get these at Lowe's or something like that. They're cheaper there. And varnish is the one that I forgot in here. My varnish was fairly expensive, I believe. Oh shoot, I have to look it up. I can't remember. This varnish on Amazon costs $15. That brings our grand total for me personally of wants to $122. And that means that our total for everything that I've bought in the last month, including needs and wants, is $173. I hope this was informational for you. I really wanted to create just purely an informational video in a short amount of time as I could to get you guys this information. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know what else you want to see. Are you curious about this topic of oil painting? Do you want to know more? Like I said, I've just been sort of making stabs in the dark because oil painting is something I've been doing recently, but it's not the base of my channel, so I want to make sure that everyone's questions are getting answered and everything like that. As always, you can find me on Instagram at Toxic Vinyl Co. for my record shop, and at Abigail Faith Co. and TikTok at Toxic Vinyl Co. All right. Let me know your thoughts. I hope you all have a wonderful day.